Hi, this is Conquering History Games, and I wanted to talk today about what I think is the best first country to play as to learn how Kaiserreich works, and that would be La Plata. Now, you might be looking at this map and saying, La Plata, that looks like Argentina. Well, that's true and yet not true. You see, in the Kaiserreich world, things have also changed in South America as well as in Europe and the United States. In the Kaiserreich timeline, Bolivia attempted to annex Paraguay in 1933. Argentina, allegedly to protect them, went to war with Bolivia and began to push them back in 1934. However, Brazil, fearing Argentina's power, then got involved in the war and attacked Argentina and began to push them back to the La Plata River, which is down here. The Argentinians, however, were able to eventually defeat Bolivia and then began to push back the Brazilians, and eventually both countries sued for peace. Argentina then absorbed Paraguay and Uruguay into their country, technically saying they were all federated, and they named this federation La Plata. So that brings us to 1936, and let's take a closer look. The reason why Argentina is such a good choice, I think, or La Plata, I should say, is there's not a whole lot going on as far as changing your political stance. There's only one national spirit here, quenched expansionism, and I'm going to go into more detail about that in a second. But unlike many, many other Kaiserreich countries, there's no way in the national focus trees to change your political ideology. So, since political parties can be such an important part of Kaiserreich, by taking away this portion of the game, it can make things much simpler for you, and you can focus on observing the world around you. South America very rarely will get involved in events like when the Second Civil War breaks out, or the American Civil War, or the Russian Civil War, or anything like that. So South America is essentially just left on its own, and things play out amongst themselves without the international community getting involved. Every South American country also has its own unique focus tree, as you can see here. Brazil's is particularly large, but that's a more complicated one for another day. But it's any South American country could be a good choice for your first one. I just personally prefer La Plata. Now, since the South American War ended briefly before the Kaiserreich timeline picks up here in 1936, Argentina has this quenched expansionism because they are trying to consolidate their gains in this war. And you are actually restricted into what you could do as far as your national focus is until you get rid of this national spirit. Before we go into that, though, let's just take a look at the military situation. You've only got a small handful of military divisions. One is stationed out here on the Maldives. None of them have any kind of special equipment attached to them. It's just purely infantry equipment that is used. As far as your resources are concerned, you do have a little bit of oil. You got a fair amount of tungsten. South America, there's not very many individual countries that, with the exception of Venezuela, that really have any kind of abundance of resources. So you are going to have to do some trading if you want to not be restricted. You have got a few military factories, 6 military factories and 2 naval dockyards. Again, nothing too great, nothing too crazy. But let's go on to the national focuses. Oh yeah, you also have 3 research slots, which seems standard. Now, to get rid of the quenched expansionism national spirit, you have to take the national focus renewed expansionism. Until you do this, you will have certain branches of your national focus tree cut off from you. For example, you cannot take the Chilean ultimatum focus until you've gotten rid of quenched expansionism. if you also look at this Brazilian branch of the focus tree, you cannot prepare for the final struggle until you have gotten rid of quenched expansionism. So since this focus is such an important part of being Argentina, how do you get there? Well, you have to completely integrate your gains from the South American War. So you have to integrate Uruguay, you have to integrate Paraguay, and then you have to integrate the Malvinas. And none of these do anything particularly special. They just core those areas for you and develop a little bit of infrastructure, and you get some political power. Down here you'll get your electronics research bonuses, and then you get into renewed expansionism. Now, as you can see, you've got, I believe, 14, let's see, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, yeah, 14 national focuses you have to take. So even if you just focused on the ones to get rid of your quenched expansionism, it's going to be a couple of years before you really are able to get to war. Now, Brazil, I just want to point this out, has the ability to get an annex war going on you. However, as you can see, they also have several national focuses they have to go through before they can get there. So you can kind of plan accordingly and don't feel like you're being rushed. Although I would perhaps recommend getting the renewed expansionism as quickly as possible. You also have some other branches of your focus tree that allow you to go to war with other countries. So claim southern Chile is pretty obvious. You can claim upper Peru. You can start a war with Bolivia. And besides that, while it is a unique focus tree, Argentina doesn't have anything too crazy going on. You have your standard industrial tree here, with a couple variants here that allow you to get some political power. There is your army tree and your navy/air tree, and that's really it. In your standard continuous focuses as well. So with Argentina, or La Plata, I should say, again, sorry, you really can sort of choose when you go to war, and you can rather quickly, if you so chose, if you wanted to be extremely aggressive about it, you could take over or ally all of South America by the 1940s, by the early 1940s. If not, you could continue to just consolidate all on your own. Brazil also will often take quite a long time before they attack you. So you could really proceed at your own pace and spend that time observing the world around you. You could observe how the United States handles the Civil War, if it does go into a civil war. Same thing with Russia. You can look how things play out in the East. You can see how Germany and France fight each other, or the Italian Federation or Austria, see what they're doing. So it's a very, very good country for learning Kaiserreich if you haven't played it before, and I do very much highly recommend it. I would say that a good long-term goal for La Plata would be to, after taking all of South America, is perhaps working your way up and seeing if you can also take all of North America as well and fight whatever version of the United States ends up being created in your playthrough. Keep in mind, though, particularly with Canada, that this could draw you into international conflicts. Same for if you attack the Caribbean Federation. So proceed with caution once you begin to leave South America for new lands to become part of the La Plata Federation. I hope this guide was helpful for you. Please let me know in the comments if there's anything I can do for future guides to make them better, and subscribe to my channel so that you can get notifications whenever I create a new guide.